Hello, my name is Gail Lanning. My student number is 452014897. This recording is for assessment purposes only and it's for assessment task 3, part 1, identify risks for portfolio of evidence for the course BSB-OPS 504, BSB PM 6430, Managing Projects and Risks Cluster, TQN Semester 1 2025. Good afternoon everyone, thanks for coming. Today we're meeting here to discuss our risk management plan for the upcoming Cooktown Readers and Writers Festival. And during our discussion we can identify the main risk we are facing holding this event. As you're aware, we've been successful in having our festival approved and Council has agreed to fund us the $25,000 needed to deliver our event. And we have spent the time to put together our project plan. As a part of that, we have identified some possible risks that may affect the planning and facilitation of the festival. Our main objective today is to identify, assess and manage potential risks that can affect our event. We need to ensure safety, health and well-being of everyone who attends and who assists us in planning and facilitation. We need to make sure that the festival maintains continuity and integrity because we are not just representing our own committee, we're working with the Cookshire Council too, and that means their reputation is also affected if we don't deliver. So because we're sponsored and funded by the Cookshire Council, we'll be using Cookshire Council's risk management framework to guide us through our project. So the Council risk management process is designed to facilitate evidence-based decision-making around matters concerning risk management. A robust approach is applied that focuses on the use of risk assessments in a consistent manner and the use of common language consistent with ISO 31000-2018 risk management guidelines. The risk management process must be an integral part of management embedded in the culture and practices of Council and tailored to Council's operational and business processes. This process is the application of the structured risk management methodology to be used to assess, prioritise, treat and monitor risks identified. The risk management process may capture inherent risks prior to taking into account controls in place, residual risk after taking into account controls in place, or both. The main elements of an effective risk management approach are as follows: communicate and consult, which is what we're doing today, establish the context, risk assessment, identify risks, analyse risks and evaluate risks, treat risks, monitor and review, and the following diagram represents the components of the risk management process. Each of these components are explained further below. So that's their diagram.
Yeah.
Okay. We can also refer to Council's Corporate Plan 2022-2026, which gives us scope of the strategic goals that Council and therefore we aim to achieve. So I'll just hand out this other policy for you guys to have a look at. You can look at that later in your own time. Managing risk is integral to the operations and strategies that support Council's day-to-day business. And Council's main goal is to, quote, embed risk management as a part of its governance to protect its employees, the general public, its assessments and environment. So we need to take that very seriously. Cookshire also uses risk registers and risk matrices, as we will in this project. And these are great tools to assist with managing the risks we are looking at today. So we will be working with Council's risk management framework, and if we follow these guidelines, we are more likely to align with the organisation of the Cookshire Council and our own intent to provide a safe event for everybody. So when we were putting together our project plan, you'll remember we went through the scope of risk management and we discussed the workplace health and safety risks, operational risks, possible environmental risks, security risks, financial and reputational risks, and of course compliance risks. There are also external risks, aren't there? Risks that we need to keep in mind that could also have an impact on our event, and that was found in the pestle chart that we looked at, such as weather issues, governance changes, issues with authors or their publication companies, social media risks, legal risks with contracts through disputes, and the list goes on. Does anyone remember some of the risks we identified in our project plan? Let's brainstorm and list the possible risks. We'll write them down as we're brainstorming and then we'll list them so that we can check them off once they're actioned. Who wants to start?
I will. So I think weather risks are moderate, it being so close to the wet season. The risk is serious, especially excess wind and heavy rain, because the festival is mainly being held outdoors. Wind could be a hazard and floods could affect people travelling to the festival. What would happen if it floods and we have vendors unable to get through closed roads? The consequences of not having the vendors described in the program would be very bad for the reputation of the festival and for the council. Maybe we should have backup stalls planned. Maybe some locals to do who do the weekly markets. Might assist last minute. So, how would that work? Do we ask them to be on call?
That's great thinking, Jackie. Definitely a great idea to have backup vendors. Maybe the mobile ice cream and milkshake bar might agree, and maybe Mark Berg with his wood carving stall could be contacted and also asked. The juice people and the coffee band could be on call as well. With the wind hazards, we will need to make sure our marquee is structurally sound and pegged down with extra guide ropes. We will have to ensure that that's checked during our last inspection. Wind issues are possible at that time of year, especially here in town. So we'll just write that there.
We may also need some extra marquees if there is lots of rain, for people to stay dry and so the ground isn't so wet it becomes really slippery and muddy. I'll ask council if there are any spares for us to borrow if needed. I'll sort this out before the 20th of August.
Great idea. Agreed, extra markets would be great in case it's raining. Okay, we'll need to contact council. And are you able to schedule a meeting with those backup vendors, or do you think we just have an informal conversation with them down at the markets?
Just an informal chat would be enough, I think. They understand risks like these because they attend our other festivals and markets, so I'm sure they'll be open to any ideas.
Great.
I think we should have a meeting because there are other risks also, like volunteer shortages as well. It could be a safety issue not to have enough volunteers on staff for the event. It's important we have enough people on the ground for crowd control to ensure everything goes to plan. If there are any incidents, we need to be able to cover areas while staff assist medics and any patrons involved. Not having enough staff could risk people's health or even their lives. This is very bad for a lot of reasons, including ours and council's reputation. Maybe we can ask the school if they wanted to collaborate with us and invite their seniors to be part of volunteer teams as part of one of their subjects. I know they are studying Cert 3 in volunteering and community support. Fingers crossed the event is incident free. But we should be prepared. I think it is unlikely that we will have any issues seeing there are medics attending, but it is worth preparing to have backup volunteers.
Okay, I'll mark that green for unlikely, but still it could have a huge impact on our festival, that's right. Ronnie, could you please contact the school for us? And you're right, although unlikely, the consequences of not enough staff could be a huge disruption on the festival. Let's schedule a meeting with the backup vendors and speak to Sally at our next meeting about spare marquees. We'll need this done by 10th of July.
Sure, I will get in contact with the senior teachers and see if it is possible. Also, what about risks and technical issues? It would be very detrimental to our reputation if we have problems with our technology side of things. It could make or break the success of the festival, especially with ticketing and presentations. Making sure our internet is functioning properly is a priority. Worst case scenario, what if the internet goes down during the event? It would be difficult to get IT experts here on call. Maybe we should try to have someone who is tech savvy in the volunteer group.
Or even the seniors from the school might be able to be trained up to back us up for each tech issue. The last thing we want is to not have functioning mics or screens that could jeopardize us attracting authors and presenting in the future, and attendees as well.
True. That's a really good idea, Jackie. Or maybe council could have their IT team visit in the mornings to test all of the equipment to ensure that it works. And then they could show one of our volunteers or one of the seniors how things are set up for if there are any issues during the event maybe. That's a moderate risk that would have a major impact on our event. So I think it's an extreme risk. I'm just going to mark that with red for extreme. And it definitely needs to be planned for. The internet can be very touch and go in Cooktown, so maybe we need to hire a backup Starlink setup to ensure we have a reliable net, and we can organise spare mics and screens if we need them. The entire event relies heavily on internet and technology.
Oh yeah, that could work. Yeah, great. Make sure it goes on the checklist, please, for follow-up action.
Done. All right, thanks. Any other risks that stand out as highly likely to occur to you guys?
I'm thinking we need to plan for any possible budgeting blowouts. We need to make sure we don't overspend and stay within our budget plan, especially if there are facilities or venue issues or unplanned maintenance problems. Should we maybe get extra quotes and see if we need to organise backup contractors to assist with any last-minute repairs or problems? I just want to make sure the budget stays on track. It is not likely, but due to significant impact on the festival and finance, it is a high risk. We haven't done a festival like this before, and we are still gaining experience, so budget blowouts should go in the high risk column, especially with so many unforeseeable possibilities like the weather. And what about if the toilets clog or if pipe bursts? What if the tended plumbers can't make it? Should we have another plumber on call to assist, or our reputation would suffer greatly if we could sort toilets or water issues out promptly, as well as the risks if there was sewage issues. Remember the time Wallaby Creek's toilets backed up and spilled all through the amenities block? Everyone talked about it for years later, and the entire crew was sick for the pack down, and I would hate to see that repeated.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Osways had trouble bringing their trucks in to suction out the septics, so it was also a safety risk driving massive trucks around the campers. We need to make sure we have clear access areas to the amenities and ablution blocks. Should we try to have plumbers in our volunteer group, or just find a tradie in town who will be on call?
I don't agree with having a tradie on call. I don't think that any qualified plumber will be on call for free. It will cost big bucks, and they will not even be needed. They will definitely want to be paid on-call rates. This could affect our budget. Also, if we get hit with out-of-hours on-call rates. But in saying that, we really need to find a solution where we have a licensed tradie as a backup, not a volunteer. Unless the volunteer is a licensed plumber and they're happy not to charge. That would be ideal. Also, the likelihood of there being plumbing issues is pretty low. The council look after these amenities, and they are almost brand new.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We can't have volunteers who are unqualified tradies, or anyone licensed will want to be paid for their on-call time. Maybe we can contact council and ask if they will supply a plumber if there are any issues during the event. As you said, the likelihood of anything happening is pretty low, but something we need to be prepared for.
Yeah, I think we should definitely contact council and ask if they can have a plumber on call, and also double check those amenities before the event. Great idea. Ronnie, as secretary, can you please draft an email to council and request their plumber assist us if the need arises? Does everyone agree that the risk is unlikely?
Yes, due to the new amenities, it would be unlikely to happen, but if it does, it would have an impact on us, so it is definitely a risk. I'll make sure our budget is tracking every week and report to you anything that looks like it would become a problem.
Yeah, unlikely, but not good if but not good if it does. I can draft that email, but also I should let you know I am going on leave for a month, and so I won't be able to handle the correspondence to council from early August to mid-September.
Right. Thank you very much for that. I think I did see an email that said you'd be away from the 8th of August until 8th of September. So no worries. We can work around that. I'll get you to just, I'll just reply to you for that email and make sure I put that on my calendar. Could you do that email to council before you go on leave, as it's important we prepare for that even if the risk is unlikely. I'll get you to CC me into the emails, please, and while you're away, I will monitor their response and we'll reconvene when you return from leave and make sure that risk is planned for. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'll also follow up once I'm back from leave and make sure it's all been done.
Great, okay. So everything we've discussed here today are all indeed risks we need to consider. We have brainstormed some scenarios and resolutions to those possibilities. We've also have to make sure we keep open communications. We need to ensure we're all on the same page and that we keep Sally in the loop and keep everyone informed and working together.
I think if we keep our progress reports continually updated, we can email everybody weekly as agreed, and we will all know what is happening. I don't mind helping with that.
That's great, and you'll be rigorously monitoring that budget. Great. We also want to make sure we don't fall short in our obligations to ensure council's policies are being upheld. Make sure we follow the regulations and the permit conditions and following the event guidelines council has provided us. If we fail to do that, we risk losing the council's confidence in us and we won't get approved for another event. Also, if council has these conditions, they have them for a reason. They've put together these documents and this framework for reasons to ultimately keep everyone safe and to make sure the council's reputation and corporate image is not affected by collaborations that don't align with their strategies. So our main aim is to align with council's main risk management framework.
I'll make sure everyone has a copy of the policies and the risk management plan before I go away, and that everyone has read them. That way we can avoid any misunderstandings or avoidable issues or incidents during the project. We need to make it a part of the volunteer induction and training also. We should create a training package that everyone needs to complete before being allowed to work with us. That way everyone will be on the same page.
Great idea. Okay, so to summarise, we've identified risks. So let's use our risk assessment matrix that give them ratings and therefore priorities. It's on your last page. So weather, so wind and excess rains is moderate likelihood with moderate impact, gives this a high rating. To prepare, we will ensure everything is double checked for wind management during final site inspection the day before the event. Organise spare marquees for excess rain. We'll hold a meeting and organise extra vendors to replace any that may be flooded out and unable to attend. I'll need to report this to Sally in our risk management plan. We may have volunteer shortages, which is unlikely to occur with a minor impact on the festival. To manage this low risk, we will contact the school and invite the seniors to be a part of the event to ensure we have enough bodies on the ground for the event and for set up and pack down. This will build their skills while they're conducting their Certificate 3 in volunteer and community assistance. Technology issues, moderate likelihood with a major impact if it occurs. So this makes it an extreme risk you can see that on the matrix. This can be managed by having a secure and reliable internet setup with backup modems and backup equipment such as mics and screens for our presentations and workshops. Budget blowouts is our last major risk. It's unlikely we will have a budget blowout, but the impact would be significant. So this is a high risk and it should be treated as such. We need to make sure the budget plan is followed and possible problems like on-call tradesmen are organised within the budget scope. Okay, so I will be putting together an email. I'll send that out to you so that everyone knows that what their responsibilities are and when our deadline dates are going to be. Thanks for letting me know about your leave in advance, Ronnie. I really appreciate that. And thanks everyone for attending today. It's really great to brainstorm. We've got ourselves a checklist. I'll get the checklist printed out and Ronnie, you can send them around before you head off on leave.
Yeah, thank
Sounds
you.
good.
All right, have a great day, everybody.
You too.
You too.